first, what we can do as parents, I know it's a bit difficult because I found it difficult for myself. I noticed the signs very early on with my daughter. I think she was maybe around 9. And I want to say something the judge said, especially with the schools. Sometimes I don't know, and correct me, panel, if I'm wrong, but with the schools that I found out that they don't really want to deal with the conflict. And I started noticing behaviors with my daughter. She was 9 years old. And I'm going to be a little graphic. There was an instance where my daughter was introduced to pornographic videos at 9 years old. And from there, it spiraled out of control. And when she turned 11, she was first introduced to prostitution by a friend, a family, almost friend type person, and they were soliciting sex through social media via Instagram. And so when all these things start to happen, I put my daughter through their therapy. She was getting therapy twice a week. And when I noticed that wasn't working, I would make sure that she have counseling at school. Counselor come to the home, and it started to get worse. I even called DCFS on myself to figure out if there's any solutions, any resources, and we always run into this problem that, oh, there's lack of funding. We want to help, but there's lack of funding, and that's what irritates me. That's the most annoying thing. You say you want to help with your mouth, but your actions say, oh, we don't have the funding. That bothers me because I am a parent that is trying to do everything in my power. I was literally ready to go paint the city of New Orleans red to save my daughter's life. Now, if that would mean to get their attention to do that and talk about suicide, that's how I felt. I felt suicidal, that I didn't care. I wanted to save her if that meant taking my own life, to save her. And a lot of people don't realize that's what's important because you think it's just the child, it's the parents that's also victims because I am trying to save her, but I have everybody telling me we don't have funding or we don't have resources. And for me to call DCFS on myself, that should tell you that I don't have anything to hide. I welcome the investigation. And another thing, we have to hold our school accountable. I got a lot of people that want to go into the schools and train, but we have not gotten a response from Orleans Parish School Board to try to bring this into our schools. And I have teachers that's asking me to do presentations, but I'm getting pushback because nobody wants to deal with that situation. And I know it's difficult, but we have to see it. It started at school for my daughter. They said it started at home. It didn't start at home. It started at school. My daughter was introduced to porn at school at 9. So it's a lot of things. Thank you.
All right. So yeah. So you broke it down. You broke it down for us, and I appreciate that because you basically, like when you was talking about how we normalize traumatic stuff.
Just marching like this, but they don't run over me like that. Okay?
You said you was walking, you used to walk to school and see dead bodies. And
Now touch that bitch, run that bitch. Run what? Run that bitch. Who you telling run what? Brother, I got $1. Now you just don't become I hold this bitch. Fuck you mean.
That wasn't normal at all. Like that event within itself is enough to, traumatize a person for the rest of their life. So not only did you see dead bodies, the stuff that you experienced, those experiences live with you. And you stay, you here right now and you fighting for your community and for your people, and that's we love that. So I want to go back to when the first time that we was in the same room. I was we was in the same room. There's some good food. We had a lot of stuff going on. We was having these conversations in this big old room full of activists and advocates or whatever people want to call themselves. And curfew came up, and curfew was a big deal around that time, right? They implemented curfew. And people wasn't feeling that. People was fighting against that. And like I remember you having a perspective that was different than everybody else in the room. And you even had a little, you was like, people, and you was saying your point. You was like, I wish I had my other memory card because on my other memory card I have that footage of you doing your thing. Like, so your perspective was different than everybody else in the room. Yeah. And sometimes for conversations we need that. It's good to have somebody in the room who say, wait, All right, we all looking at it like this, but let's look at it from this standpoint.
Absolutely.
You know, and you brought that different standpoint, which initially, like I told you off camera, I'm saying on camera, you was the initial reason why I said, man, I need to get people like Juanita, you know, on the camera to talk about this stuff, so that I could, you know, I could let the young men, the young people need to see this too. Like the young people be in the spaces sometimes, they're not always in the spaces. But they need to see, like, they got people like Juanita that exist. They got people out here who really out here fighting. You know, so you was the first person who made me want to pick the camera up, but I want you to talk about your like when we was in that room, like I want you to talk about your stance at that time, and maybe has it evolved over time, but like just take us back to that day when we was talking about curfew and what your stance was and why, and you could tell us if it evolved or not, or you know, whatever happened.
Okay, so first and foremost, this is my opinion, but this is fact. Right. So what I was making that point to you, Antonio, was that we talking about curfew, and I know some of the juvenile activists, right? They will be against it, but my standpoint was this: that I'm a mother, I have a child that was a victim of human trafficking, correct? So with that being said, is at the time my daughter was being victimized down there in the French Quarter. So we know that there's state police, there's local officials, there are even, what are they, the rangers? They have rangers down there. And I just felt like at the time, we had curfew in place at that time, maybe we could have saved her and others from becoming victims of human trafficking. And I know, like I said again, a lot of the advocates don't want that, because it's a form of discrimination, and it's to criminalize our young black and brown young men, and I understand that. So if you look at it from my perspective, I'm going to answer it from my perspective as a human trafficking advocate, but also I can answer it from a perspective of being a juvenile justice advocate as well. So the human trafficking, like I said, is understanding that law enforcement must be involved, right? We need to start asking questions. Even if we don't enforce the curfew in its entirety, we could at least, if we see a kid that's younger than the age of 17 years old, we need to start asking questions. Antonio, if I'm out there and you're out there, it's 10 o'clock at night on a school night, aren't you going to ask questions? Well, we should be asking questions, right? So, and law enforcement don't do that. Even adults don't do that. So I'm not going to just put all the pressure on law enforcement, but but law enforcement job is, you work in the quarters, you see these kids, you ask questions. Where your ID at?
So what about the people? I'm talking about people in the community.
Absolutely.
What about when the people say, well, you saying walk up to these kids and ask some questions, but you know, in this day and age, you can't tell these children nothing. Parents don't want. You can't talk to, like, what? I mean, like, what's your response to people saying, well, you want us to walk up to these kids, but like, you know, maybe like some people, it ain't. You know, remember you spoke about the community you had back then. And it was like, it ain't that today. So how could people, I guess, like, is it like, what could you tell those people who wanna, I mean, who can walk up to kids, who see kids out, but maybe a little reserved about it? Like, what? How could you?
Funny you ask, because see, this is why it's so great. I'm gonna quote something that I just was telling you, Antonio, where they had a young lady on social media posed the question, why are black men so beautiful, right? And a black man responded, that's because we come from you. So with that being said, is us as black women, from the dawn of times, we were nurturers, right? So when I say go up and talk to these kids, I don't mean that you go and invade their space. You watch them from afar, right? You watch them, observe is what's going on. So I'm trained now, right? So if I see certain signs and body language, you know, I'm gonna make small conversation when I be like, hey baby doll, what you doing out here at this time of night? That's that motherly instinct that kicks in and say, why you out here this time of night? And they may respond with like, well, X, Y, and Z, whatever the case may be for those individual kids, right? So I'm coming from a point of being a mother, a nurturing mother by nature. It's in us, especially black women. Not to say it's not in anybody else's culture, but as in black women, we are nurturers. So I'm not law enforcement, right? I don't have a law enforcement, so the child is not going to shut down, opposed to if the law enforcement will come to them and approach. And that's what the point I'm going to make about that too, Antonio, about curfew. So we need someone like myself, or maybe you, to come in with law enforcement that's trained to start getting some of these babies off the street, because this is what it's about. Not law enforcement going in and enforcing the law per se, but going in and trying to understand why the kids are out there. And law enforcement needs to be trained on how to interact, especially with our black kids. So if I seen you as a young man out there in Antonio at a certain time, I'm like, why you out here? It's not parade season, because again, look, I'm no angel. I used to be hanging out there on Canal Street. That's when it was Canal Street. You go from high school, go straight to Canal after school and things of that nature. So I'm not naive about any of this thing. But my point is, we have to let these kids know that we love them. We love them. And if we're asking questions, it's out of love and concern. That's my point. If we out there and we want to connect with these kids, we have to relate. I'm going to tell you something. My little brother told me, he's a minister. And he told me, he said, you know what, damn it? You can't beat them, join them. And what he mean by if you can't beat them, join them, is to relate to them. Try and relate. Let them know that you care. Let them know that if you need anything, I'm there. I'm going to support you. No matter what bad and no matter what wrong they're doing, take them and stir them somewhere else. And I think that's why Black Man Rise is so great, because that's what you're doing.
I appreciate it.
I think about all the hard times we had, no dad, no time, shared the bus and never did a little past the child. Going wild, another victim of a broken home. My true friend was a coming from the path. I had to lock it off. I represented my hood. I pray my